That man in room 304 is hiding something. The words cut through the quiet nurses' station at St. Mary's Hospice at exactly 11:47 p.m. Jennifer Matthews, 34. A veteran oncology nurse with 12 years of experience, barely looked up from her medication cart. Her blue scrubs were wrinkled from a double shift. Dark circles under her eyes testimony to 16 hours of non-stop patient care. "What makes you think that?" she asked, her voice flat with exhaustion. The night shift aide, Maria, a petite woman with worry lines etched deep around her mouth, leaned closer and whispered, "Every night at midnight, I hear sounds from his room, like he's moving furniture or something. But when I check on him, he's always just lying there, pretending to sleep. His heart rate on the monitor spikes every time." Jennifer felt ice crawl down her spine. Room 304. Harold Morrison, 92 years old. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer. 3 weeks to live, maybe less. Vietnam veteran, no family listed on his intake forms. No visitors in the 8 days since his admission. The kind of patient who broke your heart because he was dying alone, with nothing but memories and morphine to keep him company. "Have you asked him about it?" Jennifer questioned, already knowing the answer. Maria shook her head quickly. "He won't talk. Barely says 2 words. Just yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. But Jennifer, the sounds they're not normal, and his vitals show he's exerting himself way too much for someone in his condition. Dr. Patterson said any physical stress she didn't need to finish. They both knew. Any unnecessary exertion could accelerate the end. Have you ever felt that chill when something doesn't add up? When your professional instincts scream that someone is hiding something important?" Jennifer looked down the dimly lit hallway toward room 304. The door was closed, a sliver of yellow light visible underneath. Harold Morrison had been the quietest patient on the floor. Never complaining, never calling for help. Always apologizing when nurses came to check his vitals or change his IV. He apologized yesterday for bleeding through his bandage. Jennifer had told her colleague Emma. Said he was sorry for making extra work. Can you imagine? The man is dying and he's worried about our workload. Now, standing in the fluorescent glow of the nurse's station at midnight, Jennifer made a decision that would haunt her for years to come in the best possible way. "Show me the security footage," she said quietly. "If he's doing something that's putting his health at risk, we need to know." What Jennifer didn't know was that in the next 15 minutes, she would witness something that would make her question everything she thought she understood about strength, sacrifice, and what it means to die with dignity. St. Mary's Hospice sat on the edge of Portland, Oregon, a gray building that had seen 40 years of final goodbyes. The security system was outdated, installed in 2008, with grainy cameras that captured just enough detail to be useful, but not enough to be invasive. The footage was stored on a local server, accessible only to administration and head nurses. Jennifer had the access code. She'd never used it before. At 12:03 a.m., Jennifer and Maria crowded into the small security office, a cramped room that smelled of old coffee and electronic equipment. The monitor displayed a grid of 12 camera feeds, each showing different areas of the hospice. Room 304's camera was positioned in the upper corner. Angled to capture the entire room while respecting patient privacy, it could see the general space but not the bathroom area or bed in intimate detail. "Go back to yesterday midnight," Jennifer instructed, her fingers drumming nervously on the desk. Maria's hands shook slightly as she worked the controls. The timestamp rolled backward. 12:03 a.m., 11:47 p.m., 11:15 p.m., finally stopping at 11:58 p.m. The previous night, the room looked empty, peaceful. Harold's frail form barely made a bump under the white hospital blankets. His IV stand stood sentinel beside the bed, the clear fluid dripping steadily. The morphine pump sat within reach. He could self-administer within prescribed limits. For 2 minutes, nothing happened. Jennifer was about to tell Maria to fast forward when Harold's eyes opened. Even on the grainy footage, she could see the deliberate way he turned his head, checking the hallway door, listening, waiting. At exactly midnight, Harold Morrison began to move. What happened next made Jennifer's breath catch in her throat. The 92-year-old man who could barely walk 10 feet to the bathroom without assistance, who needed help sitting up to eat, whose medical chart listed him as severely compromised mobility, pushed himself upright with agonizing slowness. His face contorted with pain that was visible even through the poor video quality. Every muscle trembled with effort. "Oh my God," Maria whispered. "He shouldn't be. Wait," Jennifer interrupted, her voice strange. "Just wait." Harold swung his legs over the side of the bed with the careful precision of someone performing surgery on themselves. His feet, swollen from edema, touched the cold linoleum floor. He sat there for 30 seconds, breathing hard, gathering strength. Then he stood. The effort nearly broke him. His legs shook so violently that Jennifer instinctively reached toward the screen, as if she could somehow catch him through the glass and pixels. But Harold Morrison didn't fall. Vietnam veterans don't fall. Not if they can help it. He shuffled to the corner of the room where visitors would normally sit, an area the nurses rarely paid attention to. That's when Jennifer saw something she'd missed during every single wellness check. Every medication round, every casual glance into his room. In the corner, barely visible even now that she knew to look for it, was a makeshift workout area. A towel laid on the floor. 2 water bottles filled with sand improvised weights. A piece of resistance band, the kind used in physical therapy, tied to the leg of the visitor's chair. "What the hell?" Maria breathed. Harold Morrison, 92 years old, 3 weeks to live, stage 4 cancer eating him from the inside out, began to exercise. He started with the resistance band, his skeletal arms shaking as he performed bicep curls with a weight that couldn't have been more than 2 pounds. His face was a mask of determination and agony. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His heart rate monitor, visible in the corner of the screen, climbed from 72 to 94 to 108. After 10 repetitions, he stopped, breathing like he'd run a marathon. He waited 2 minutes, then did another set. 10 more curls. His arms looked like they might snap. When he finished with the bands, he lowered himself to the floor with excruciating slowness. Jennifer's hands covered her mouth. She'd seen patients fall, seen them hurt themselves, seen them give up, but she'd never seen anything like this. Harold Morrison, dying, alone, in the middle of the night, did push-ups. Not regular push-ups, his body couldn't support that. He did them against the wall, his palms flat against the painted surface, his feet back far enough to create resistance. 5 push-ups, rest, 5 more, his entire body shaking. After the push-ups, he attempted squats, holding on to the chair for balance. 3 squats that took every ounce of strength he possessed. His legs nearly gave out on the 3rd one. He caught himself, stood there breathing hard for a full minute, then forced himself to do 2 more. The entire routine took 23 minutes. When it was over, Harold Morrison used the last of his strength to return everything to its hiding place. The towel folded and tucked behind the chair, the water bottles of sand hidden in the small cabinet, the resistance band coiled and concealed. Then he made the long, agonizing journey back to bed. By the time he pulled the blankets over himself, his heart rate had reached 132. Dangerous for someone in his condition. potentially fatal. He lay there in the dark, chest heaving, tears streaming down his weathered face, and whispered something Jennifer couldn't hear but could read on his lips. "I'm still here. I'm still strong. I'm still me." Maria was crying openly now. Jennifer's vision had blurred with tears she was fighting to hold back. "Why?" Maria choked out. "Why would he do that to himself? He's dying. Why does it matter if he's strong?" Jennifer didn't answer. She couldn't. Her throat had closed around words that wouldn't come. They watched 3 more nights of footage. Every single night, the same routine. Harold Morrison. When he thought no one was watching, when he believed he was completely alone in his suffering, fought against his dying body with everything he had left. On one night, he fell during the squats. The sound of his body hitting the floor made both nurses flinch. They watched in horror as he lay there for 4 minutes, gathering the strength to get up. They watched him crawl to the chair, pull himself up inch by inch, and finish his routine. Because finishing mattered. Being strong mattered. Not giving up mattered. "I have to talk to him," Jennifer said finally, her voice rough with emotion. "I have to understand why." At 6:30 a.m., during the morning rounds, Jennifer knocked softly on the door of room 304 before entering. Harold Morrison was awake, staring out the window at the gray Portland dawn. He looked impossibly frail in the hospital bed, his skin paper-thin, his eyes hollowed by illness and pain. "Good morning, Mr. Morrison," Jennifer said gently, checking his vitals out of habit. "How are you feeling today?" "Fine, ma'am," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "Sorry for any trouble." "You're no trouble at all," Jennifer assured him, her heart breaking. She pulled up the visitor's chair, the one he used for his midnight exercises, and sat down. "Mr. Morrison, I need to talk to you about something important." His eyes flickered with something that might have been fear. "Am I being moved?" "No, nothing like that." Jennifer took a deep breath. "I saw the security footage from your room, from midnight." The color drained from Harold's face. What little remained. "I can explain. You don't have to explain," Jennifer interrupted softly. "But I need to understand. Harold, you're pushing your body beyond what it can handle." My heart is fine," he said firmly, the first real strength Jennifer had heard in his voice. "It's done good work for 92 years. It'll hold." "But why?" Jennifer leaned forward. "Why are you doing this?" "Harold, you're in hospice care. She couldn't say it. Dying," he finished for her. "I know, ma'am. Known it for 6 months now. Cancer's got me good." "Then why the exercises? Why push yourself like this?" Harold Morrison turned to look directly at her. His eyes, faded blue, held a clarity that made Jennifer's breath catch. "You got kids, ma'am?" "A daughter. She's 7. She ever ask you to show her how strong you are? Pick her up, maybe. Open a tight jar?" Jennifer nodded, confused. "All the time. And when you do it, when you show her you're strong, how's that make you feel?" "Proud, I guess. Capable." "Exactly." Harold's gnarled hand gripped the bed rail. "I got a son. Thomas. 57 years old. Lives in Seattle. Hasn't talked to me in 12 years. The words hung in the air like smoke. "I wasn't a good father," Harold continued quietly. "Drank too much after Vietnam. Angry all the time. Hit him twice when he was a teenager. He left home at 17, joined the army to get away from me. Can't say I blame him. Jennifer stayed silent, sensing there was more. Got sober 20 years ago, Harold said. Tried to make amends. Thomas wouldn't take my calls. Wouldn't read my letters. Built a whole life without me in it. Good life too. He's a teacher, married, got 2 kids I've never met. My grandchildren. His voice cracked when they told me about the cancer. First thing I did was write him another letter. Told him I was dying. Told him I was sorry. Told him I loved him. Harold's hand. He wrote back. First time in 12 years. Said he'd come visit. Said he wanted his kids to meet their grandfather before I passed. Said he'd bring them next month when school was out. Jennifer's eyes widened. Next month? I got 3 weeks, maybe less. That's what the doctor said. Harold turned back to the window. But Thomas is coming in 2 weeks. Driving down from Seattle with the whole family. Gonna spend a weekend here. Jennifer understood suddenly. Completely, devastatingly. The exercises, she whispered. Every night, Harold confirmed. I need to be strong when they get here. Not strong like I used to be, I know that's gone. But strong enough to sit up straight. Strong enough to shake my grandson's hand without my arm shaking. Strong enough to hold my granddaughter when she sits on my lap. Strong enough that when they remember meeting their grandfather for the first and last time, they remember a man, not a corpse waiting to happen. Tears rolled down Jennifer's cheeks unchecked. Unchecked. Harold, I know it's stupid, he said quickly. I know it probably won't matter in the end. But I got 2 weeks to stay alive and strong enough to be their grandfather for 1 weekend. That's all I'm asking. Just 1 weekend where I'm not this. He gestured weakly at his wasting body. Where I'm still me. Where my son can maybe remember that I wasn't always the monster he grew up with. Jennifer couldn't speak. The weight of Harold Morrison's desperate, beautiful, heartbreaking determination pressed down on her chest like a stone. So I do my exercises, Harold continued softly. Every night at midnight when the halls are quiet and no one's checking on me. I make myself strong. Whatever it takes. However it takes. However much it hurts. Because in 14 days, my son is going to walk through that door with my grandchildren. And I'm going to stand up. I'm going to stand up and shake his hand and hug those kids and show them their grandfather is still a man. The silence in room 304 lasted for what felt like an eternity. Finally, Jennifer wiped her eyes and stood. Okay, she said. Okay? You're not going to stop me? You're not going to stop me? No, Jennifer said firmly. But I'm going to help you. What happened over the next 2 weeks would become legendary at St. Mary's Hospice. Jennifer couldn't authorize official physical therapy for a hospice patient. The whole point of hospice care was comfort, not rehabilitation. But what she could do, what she did do, was coordinate with Harold Morrison's midnight exercise routine. She adjusted his medication schedule so that his pain relief peaked at midnight, giving him maximum comfort during his workout. She brought in a proper set of 2-pound weights, donated anonymously. She found a better resistance band, one designed for elderly patients. Most importantly, she made sure that every single night, a nurse was positioned near room 304 at midnight, not to stop Harold, but to monitor his vitals remotely and be ready if anything went wrong. The entire night shift staff knew about Harold Morrison's secret, and every single one of them protected it. Maria would position herself at the nurse's station with a direct line of sight to his door. Emma, another veteran nurse, made sure his IV fluids were optimized for muscle recovery. Even Dr. Patterson, when Jennifer carefully explained the situation, made an adjustment to Harold's treatment plan, nothing that would extend his suffering, but small changes that would give him the best chance of having the strength he needed. "This is irregular," Dr. Patterson had said, reviewing Harold's chart. "Highly irregular. But I've been a hospice doctor for 23 years, and I've learned that dying with dignity means something different to everyone. If this man wants to spend his final days building strength for one last weekend with his family, then by God, we're going to support that." The exercises evolved. Harold, with Jennifer's quiet guidance, modified his routine to maximize effect while minimizing risk. Instead of push-ups against the wall, he did arm raises with the 2-pound weights. Instead of squats that threatened to topple him, he did seated leg lifts. The resistance band work continued, but Jennifer showed him techniques that wouldn't spike his heart rate as dangerously. Every morning at 6:30 a.m., Jennifer would stop by room 304 to check on Harold. They never talked about the exercises directly, but she would ask, "How are you feeling today?" And he would answer, "Strong enough, ma'am." Getting stronger. 1 week before Thomas was scheduled to arrive, Harold's condition worsened. The cancer was progressing faster than expected. Dr. Patterson pulled Jennifer aside. "He's got days, not weeks," the doctor said grimly. "His liver numbers are critical. The pain is escalating. I need to increase his morphine, which means he'll be too sedated to stay conscious for long periods," Jennifer finished. "Which means too sedated to exercise. Which means he won't have the strength when his family comes." Dr. Patterson nodded slowly. "I can hold off on increasing the dosage for maybe 3 more days. 4 at most. After that, the pain will be unbearable without higher medication, and that medication will essentially put him to sleep." Jennifer looked down the hallway toward room 304. "I know," Dr. Patterson said quietly. "God help me. I know." That night at midnight, Jennifer broke protocol. She entered room 304. Harold was preparing for his routine, moving slowly from the bed to his exercise corner. He froze when he saw her. "Ma'am, I know what you're doing," Jennifer said softly, closing the door behind her. "I know why you're doing it, and I'm here to tell you that you have 3 more days of manageable pain. After that, we have to increase your medication, which means you won't be able to do this anymore." Harold's face crumpled. "Thomas comes in 6 days? I know. I need 6 days. I know." Jennifer moved to stand beside him. "So, here's what we're going to do. For the next 3 nights, I'm going to help you maximize every single exercise. No wasted movement, no inefficiency. We're going to make these 3 nights count for 6. Harold Morrison stared at her. "Why would you do this?" "Because I am a nurse," Jennifer said simply. "And nursing isn't just about keeping people alive. Sometimes it's about helping them live the way they need to, right up until the end." For 3 nights, Jennifer Matthews became Harold Morrison's midnight training partner. She would enter his room at exactly midnight, close the door, and for 30 minutes they would work together in near silence. She would count his repetitions, monitor his vitals, and adjust his effort based on real-time data. When his heart rate climbed too high, she would make him rest. When he wanted to quit, she would remind him quietly. 6 more days. Just 6 more. On the 3rd night, Harold's last night of manageable pain, he completed his routine and then looked at Jennifer with tears streaming down his face. "I don't think I can do this," he whispered. "I don't think I'm strong enough." "You're strong enough," Jennifer assured him. "Harold, you're the strongest patient I've ever known. What if I can't stand when they come? What if I'm too weak?" Jennifer took his hand. Paper-thin skin over fragile bones. "Then you'll still be their grandfather. And that's what matters most." The next morning, Dr. Patterson increased Harold's morphine. By that afternoon, Harold Morrison slept more than he was awake. His midnight exercises ended. The corner of room 304 stood empty, the weights and resistance band put away. On day 5, Thomas Morrison called the hospice. His car had broken down in Sacramento. They wouldn't make it for another 2 days. 8 days instead of 6. Harold Morrison, floating on morphine clouds, didn't fully comprehend when Jennifer told him. But some part of him understood. Some part of him held on. On day 8, Thomas Morrison walked through the doors of St. Mary's Hospice with his wife and 2 children, a boy of 12 and a girl of 8. Jennifer was at the nurse's station when they arrived. She'd been waiting for them. "You're Thomas?" she asked. The man nodded. He was tall, built like his father must have been before the cancer. His eyes were red-rimmed, nervous. He's alive?" Jennifer said quickly. "And he's been waiting for you. Your father has been fighting to stay strong for this visit. I need you to know that." Thomas swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" Jennifer told them everything. About the midnight exercises. About the 23-minute routine Harold had performed every night. About the desperate determination of a dying man to be strong for his family one last time. By the time she finished, Thomas's wife was crying. The children looked confused and awed. "Take me to him," Thomas said, his voice breaking. Room 304's door opened quietly. Harold Morrison was propped up in bed, more awake than he'd been in days. Dr. Patterson had adjusted his medication timing specifically for this moment. Maximum consciousness, manageable pain. When Harold saw his son, his eyes widened. When he saw his grandchildren, something miraculous happened. Harold Morrison sat up straighter. Every lesson from those midnight workouts, every repetition, every moment of suffering and determination, condensed into this single moment. His spine straightened. His shoulders pulled back. His arms moved from the bedside to the armrests with deliberate strength. "Thomas," Harold said clearly. His son rushed forward and took his father's hand, and Harold's grip, while not strong, was firm. "Present. Real. Dad," Thomas whispered. "I'm here. We're all here." The granddaughter, brave and curious, approached the bed. "Are you my grandpa?" she asked. Harold smiled, and Jennifer, watching from the doorway, saw the man he must have been before the war, before the drinking, before everything that broke him. "I am," Harold said, "and I've been waiting to meet you. Come here, sweetheart." The little girl climbed onto the bed, and Harold Morrison, 92 years old, 3 days from death, dying from cancer, put his arms around his granddaughter and held her. His arms didn't shake. His strength held. He was still him. The visit lasted 4 hours. Harold told his grandchildren stories about Vietnam, about being young, about their father when he was a boy. Thomas and his father talked quietly about the past, about regrets, about forgiveness. No one mentioned cancer. No one talked about dying. For 4 hours, Harold Morrison was just a grandfather, spending time with his family. When they finally left, exhausted and emotional, Thomas stopped in the doorway. "Dad," he said, "I love you. I should have said it years ago, but I'm saying it now." Harold, his strength finally failing, tears streaming down his face, whispered, "I love you too, son. Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving me this." Thomas left. Harold Morrison fell asleep. He never woke up. He died the next morning at 6:47 a.m., peacefully, his body finally allowed to rest. Jennifer was there, holding his hand. At his funeral, Thomas Morrison stood at the podium and told the story of his father's midnight exercises. He told 200 people about a dying man's desperate determination to be strong for his family. He told them about the nurses who helped, about the hospice that supported an irregular treatment plan, about the pure, fierce love that drove his father to push his failing body beyond its limits. "My father made mistakes," Thomas said, his voice echoing through the funeral home. "He hurt people. He hurt me. But in the end, he taught me something I'll never forget. It's never too late to be the person you wish you'd been. It's never too late to show strength when it matters most." Jennifer attended the funeral. Maria came with her. Emma too. Dr. Patterson sent flowers. The entire night shift staff from St. Mary's Hospice sent a card that said simply, "Harold Morrison was the strongest patient we ever knew." 6 months later, St. Mary's Hospice changed its policies. Terminal patients who wished to maintain physical activity within safe limits could do so with medical support. They called it the Harold Morrison Protocol, because sometimes dying with dignity doesn't mean peaceful surrender. Sometimes it means fighting to be strong enough for one last moment of grace. Jennifer Matthews still works at St. Mary's. She still does night shifts. And sometimes, at midnight, when she walks past the rooms where people are dying alone, she thinks of Harold Morrison. She thinks of the secret strength people maintain when they think no one is watching. She thinks of the profound love that drives us to be more than our failing bodies. And she checks the security cameras, looking for patients who might be hiding their own midnight battles. Because now she knows what to look for. Now she knows that sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is refuse to give up, even when giving up would be so much easier. Harold Morrison taught her that, and she'll never forget. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that strength comes in forms we don't always recognize, please subscribe to hear more stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Have you ever witnessed someone fighting to maintain their dignity in impossible circumstances? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might inspire someone who needs to hear it today. Because sometimes we all need reminding that being strong doesn't always mean winning. Sometimes it just means refusing to surrender, right up until the very end.